Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And although there's been some challenges, we are always overcomers. Keep your head up in the sky. Reminds me of Psalm 121. I look to the hills from which cometh my help, and my help cometh from the Lord. Before I pray, I just want to
I just would like to thank all of you for joining us. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us over the last 7 years. This is our 7th annual Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. This started because a group of parents at PS 175 sitting on the board came up with this idea and presented it to the teachers and the principal of the school. So we had our first one, and then we've been going strong ever since then. So that included myself, Mari, and Tamika Benjamin. I don't think she's on here, but of course we always salute her because she's one of the pioneers of this project. And here we are at year 7, and we hope to keep it going for many years to come. So back to you, Mari.
Yes. And so I want to talk about some of the outcomes of We Love Harlem initiative, some of the things that were able to be accomplished over the time that we've been doing this as parents of our children's school and as of PS 175. In 2015, it was just a concept that came organically out of a school leadership team meeting. All of our parents, everyone that is inside their schools, we wanted to encourage them to know how to get involved in the schools, how to get involved in their children's education, because that is very important to the vitality of education in our children's lives. And 100 parents signed up. Our goal was to have 100 parents sign up to be involved in the schools. That means volunteerism, that meant working with the school staff, that meant being present in the lives of their children's education. And we were able to meet that goal. And that was a goal of the chancellor at the time, Chancellor Carmen Farina. In 2016, we had unity in our community. And that was when we worked with Manhattan Community Board 10. The entire community was really came out and supported. Over 5 different schools from the community came. I need to back up a step. In 2015, we honored First Lady Shirlane McCray for her efforts and her work on pushing the universal pre-K program. In 2016, it was unity in our community. And it was all about just honoring our community and coming together as one so that we can make the positive changes that we really needed to make. In 2016, we honored Dr. Khalil Gibran Muhammad of the Schomburg, and we also honored Thurgood Marshall Academy. In 2017, we were honoring our parents of PS 175 as well as Congressman Rangel. And that was really to let parents know, we see your struggle. We know what it is to be a parent in our community, but we want to be able to help you prosper and grow and do greater things. As you know, we want to be here to support you. So that's what we did. And we were able to honor our parents and Congressman Rangel in a special way. In 2018, we had Harlem is King 2018. And that's when we basically highlighted every single Martin Luther King Day event that was happening all over the community. So it was from the Kennedy Center to PS 175 to NAN to every single event that was honoring Dr. King's legacy. We highlighted it and we supported them all. And the other thing that we were able to do is we were able to do service projects. We supported and we connected with FDNY, NYPD, and we gave out supplies. The students, and I shouldn't say we, I want to say the students of PS 175 gave out supplies and needed items to homeless people. So it was, food, it was socks, it was toiletries, it was everything that was needed so that our community had their needs met. In 2019, we joined with the Kennedy Center for more support on Dr. King Day. And that was a very special day because they laid it out. They had breakfast for everybody. They had everything you could think of. So it was another way to support the community in that way. Also in 2020, we brought We Love Harlem initiative back to doing the King Day celebration because our beloved Mayor David Dinkins, who was at the forefront and was always supportive of this event from its inception, had passed on. And it's his legacy that we want to continue to grow because he means so much to so many people and he's the forever mayor of Harlem. So to Mayor David Dinkins, we wanted to make sure that we honored him in a way that was going to really embody also the legacy and spirit of Dr. King. And we honored 4 very special women that year. And that year we honored our superintendent, Danica Rux. That year we honored Athena Moore, Northern Manhattan Borough Director, who we know and love and is just so humble and special and so many ways. We honored Aisha Sekou, who always is increasing the peace in the community. And we honored Dr. Pamela Stewart of the CEC5. And with that, we're here today in 2021 in a new, 2022. I'm sorry, y'all. We're here today in 2022 to honor and to bring forth the legacy of Dr. King, but also to have a new year of prosperity and growth in our community. And I'm going to explain more ways of how we're going to be doing that going forward. But right now, we already have started this year in some very, there have been some very challenging times. And so now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are knowing what we must do to bring forth a legacy and of prosperity to our community. But we must remember the family in the Bronx, the families that were affected by the fire in the Bronx. We must remember the young lady who was just shot at the Burger King. We must remember, some of the things that have, all of the people we've lost during COVID-19. So with that, Monique McGee is going to lead us in a candlelight moment.
It's just a moment of silence, Mari. So we'll start that now.
Awesome.
Congressman Rangel, can you hear us? Can you hear? Okay, I'm gonna put you on speaker so you can speak to the people. Okay. Congressman Rangel? Congressman Rangel. Okay, hold on. What I'm gonna do right now while I'm troubleshooting 2 phones, I'm going to ask Apostle Stacey Ramos to talk about why it was important to have that moment of silence that we just had, and to talk about what happened in 116th Street and how we were able to find, or how the police were able to find immediately the perpetrators of that event. Please, Apostle Ramos, can you please share more about that?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mari Moss. Thanks for the opportunity while you're troubleshooting. I just want to also, in my obedience, just recognize those elders before me. And I know there are several elected officials and individuals here, but I definitely see Auntie Inez Dickens and Assemblyperson Inez Dickens. So I just wanted to say that. And for all the others that are on here, just thanking God for you. And I know the Congressman will be back on shortly. And I want to thank God for us and Chris. I think Christian, I see Christian. Yeah, hi sis, how are you? Just wanted to say that. And if anybody else, I can't see everybody on here, but I just wanted to do that. Thank you, Mari and Monique. What was really important about what happened with the young lady that was murdered was we've been doing a lot of boots on the ground and violence interruption, along with our Cure Violence teams and along with this entire city and along with the elected officials that have been standing by our side, as well as the organizations, to really get this thing stopped. I know Dr. Hazel Dukes, Mama Dukes, is about to come and sit down with us so that we can really pull this together because it's out of control. But we did a prayer vigil. And when we did this prayer vigil on Thursday, not only was it full to capacity, but it wasn't full to capacity for people to see us. It wasn't full to capacity for lights, cameras, and action. It was full to capacity for the power of God to go forth to have this individual exposed. And as he was exposed, it actually assisted NYPD and those awesome detectives in really apprehending him. See, we still believe in fire prayer. We still believe in the move of God, and we set foot on that ground. And as we set foot on that ground, we literally prayed. And our very own comptroller and Congressman Esplayat, they prayed. And even the comptroller, Brad Lander, he even said, we are not going to just show up for work, but we're going to show up for prayer and for work. And I have the spirit of discernment. I know when it's fluff and I know when it's real. And so we came together with one accord and we prayed. And that night, that very night, as they were investigating things, but that night it actually happened, that they were able to go to the door and that they were able to apprehend this gentleman that we know we need to keep in prayer. As we keep Crystal's family in prayer, we need to keep the people that are suffering from mental illness in prayer. And as our mayor has said over and over again, we've got to do more to really get to the root of the problem. That's a lot of what Monique and Mari are doing here with the MLK. We are standing on the shoulders of those that have come before us. And just like Auntie Inez knows, and just like Congressman Rangel knows, the Gang of Four, Honorable Mayor Dinkins, they put this work in and we are following in their footsteps, and we have got to stop what is going on in our community, and it stopped there. Some other things have taken place, but if we come together in unity and we put our biases and our issues and our personal problems aside, coming together to make sure that we have unity in this community, in this village of Harlem and beyond, I know, not that I know, but I know that I know it will absolutely happen. We are still praying for Crystal's family. We are in direct contact with them. If there's anybody that wants to send or anybody that wants to send a word to our dear beloved Diana Ayala, which we all know that that is her niece, please let us know and we'll do our best to get any information or anything to them, or you yourself can reach out as well. Thank you for the time, Mari, and really being able to explain that.
Well, thank you, Apostle Ramos. We really appreciate you. And I was just reading, or actually reciting to Congressman Rangel exactly what you were saying. So he knows what you just shared. Okay, Congressman Rangel, I'm going to relay to the people what we just discussed, or what you want to say about Dr. King's legacy, because there's some technical difficulties here. So if you can please share with the people your sentiments and thoughts on Dr. King.
Mari, excuse me, but can you send him the link? Let him know that he has Zoom, so he can sign on with the link.
Well, I sent him the link of Assembly Member Inez Dickens, but somehow he wasn't able to log on. So I sent it a few times in email, and we tried it again and again. So we tried this method, the phone call, just to see if we could do it this way.
Okay. Thank you.
You can have him dial in too.
Say that one time?
You can have them. You can have him dial in as well.
I sent the dial in as well, but
oh, okay.
Congressman Rangel, did you get the dial in?
Has to be unmuted.
Yep.
Monique, can you unmute Xavier?
Yeah, I'm trying, but the other little things keep coming over it.
Okay. So, for now, go ahead and play Congressman Rangel's video.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because
Mr. Rangel eating a hot dog, walking the streets. You look like a man who's still campaigning.
No, I was explaining earlier. I went to school across the street.
I don't know if any of you know the changes that you've noticed along 125th Street, but those changes has been really a direct result of the work that our congressman has been involved with.
We have an obligation to help the sick, the poor, and our aged.
In ensuring that our businesses are alive and thriving, that our families have the resources that they need. And our congressman has also been involved in supporting our educational system.
And so to be able to see the children of District 5 of Harlem being exposed to so many adventures, and this is what this is. This is an adventure in education.
He wants to see our students have the opportunity to be afforded varied careers in the STEM fields, especially students of color.
If you don't get the ticket to get on this train, at the end of it, it'll be a dead end. So I'm excited about seeing this. And as a kid that graduated from Frederick Douglass, I'm glad to see that the Academy is competing for the minds, the spirit, and the body.
He never forgets where he came from. He always says he grew up on Lenox Avenue. He still lives on Lenox Avenue. You know, some of these fancy Congress people go off and get big mansions. He stayed in a rent-regulated apartment on Lenox Avenue. He didn't move too far. So he doesn't forget that he came from poverty. He's not going to forget people who need his support. What a career. Also, he was a veteran. My husband.
What I really want to say about Charlie Rangel is that this man is a genuine American hero. In unbelievably difficult service in the Korean War, his unit was swamped, cut off, overwhelmed by Chinese soldiers crossing into Korea.
So he understands war veterans, and he's very, very
What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun?
But Charlie Rangel would encourage all of us.
Charlie Rangel and I, we called each other brother. So one day his mother said, "Why do you call the mayor your brother? He's not your brother." And so Charlie explained that we were close personal and political friends, and that's why we call each other brother. That didn't satisfy Mom. Then later she was ill, hospitalized.
And try to help him out. So I'll get off now.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we need you to come back.
I will.
Yes,
I will.
Okay. We
Thank
need you to
you.
come back right after. So Congressman Rangel, Assembly Member Inez Dickens is going to call you right now. She's going to help you get all the way on to this call because the people want to hear directly from you. Congressman Rangel, did you hear what I just said? Oh. Yes, she's gonna call you right now. Thank you, Congressman Rangel. Thank you. Okay. All right. Okay, she's calling you right now. Okay. All right. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna put you on hold and just in case, okay? I'm just putting you on hold. I'm not hanging up. So just click over when you get a call from Assembly Member Inez Dickens, okay? Yes, you. Okay. Okay, sounds excellent. Okay, thanks. Okay, so Assemblymember Dickens is now calling Congressman Rangel. So y'all are getting, this is like behind the scenes kind of, okay, so.
Right, so Mari, we can have Xavier recite.
Where is she at? I just saw her. Oh, there she is. Okay. I also have, because I'm trying to still troubleshoot for Congressman Rangel to join us in this time.
Would you like us to go while you're waiting?
Yes, please.
Okay, Mari, here we go.
Okay.
Hello, hi, I'm Mark Levine, new borough president in Manhattan. Here with Athena, just to say a quick hello.
Hi,
we support
welcome.
you guys all the way.
Hi, Mark.
Thank you.
I'll be, should I talk about, we are between events here commemorating Dr. King. I had a chance to speak at Mount Olivet Baptist Church with the Baptist Conference of Greater New York. And we're headed now to the National Action Network. And I've been reflecting on the spirit of unity that Dr. King inspired, particularly at the March at Selma, where in the front of that historic procession next to Dr. King was actually a rabbi, Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, a famous close friendship with Dr. King. And that spirit of togetherness has frayed over the years.
So would it be
and I really
helpful
believe
if
that we need to
you
use this
add
occasion
him to your,
as
like,
a
just
reminder
put
that we
him
have
on
to
your
start
speaker?
showing up in each other's fights again, to show up in the fight against substandard housing, to show up in the fight to make our criminal justice system more fair, the fight to protect tenants, the fight to make our healthcare system more just. We have much work to do together. And as your new Manhattan Borough President, I am all in for these fights in a spirit of unity and change on this important holiday. So with that short statement, I'm going to pass it back to the wonderful Athena Moore, and I'm grateful for this chance to speak to all of you on this MLK Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to piggyback on our Manhattan Borough President. As you may or may not know, I'm Athena Moore, Director of the Northern Manhattan Office. But what is significant is that the role of the new Borough President has even greater importance as Mark has continued his work on health issues. He was the former chair of the Health Committee in the New York City Council and is continuing that fight through the Borough President's Office to talk about health equity. And Mari asked me briefly just to plant the seed for future work that we will continue to do together around health. Addressing health equities can seem daunting, but working together, we can dismantle unjust policies and practices that contribute to poor health outcomes in our communities. We know that when we look at the data provided by the New York City Department of Health, there are significant hurdles that we must continue to address. One of them, as you know, is COVID-19. We're seeing the Omicron variant continue to move through our communities. It has been increasing in terms of the level of individuals who have been directly impacting. The one good thing is that hospitalizations have been down. compared to the past variants. We know that we will continue to see a need, however, for testing, for vaccines, and for the boosters. Through the Manhattan Borough President's Office, we have made available a testing site that's open now, Monday through Friday from 9 to 2 p.m. You can come in, it's free at any time, and get your test, a PCR test. We also are making available in-home testing kits, which we've begun distributing to our elected officials and through our community-based organizations. And we are also making sure that PPE and hand sanitizer continues to be available. But I want to talk briefly about just a few more health outcomes that Mari has asked me to touch on. Obesity, diabetes, hypertension. These are all issues that continue to plague and impact the Central Harlem community. Central Harlem's adult obesity rate is 34%, which is higher than the rest of New York City. And more than 700,000 adult New Yorkers have been told that they have diabetes. Additionally, 164,000 are estimated to have diabetes but not be aware. 12% of Central Harlem adults have been diagnosed with diabetes, and 35% of adults have been diagnosed with hypertension. This is significant. The rate of diabetes in our community is similar to the New York City average, while the rate of hypertension is higher. And we know that obesity can lead to diabetes and high blood pressure and other health conditions. And we also know that hypertension, which has impacted our community, is the leading risk factor for heart disease and stroke. We also know that among HIV, that this is an epidemic that we've been fighting for a long time. Under new diagnoses, we have 69.6 in Central Harlem per 100,000 individuals. And for hepatitis, that continues to impact our community, and we need more people getting tested for hepatitis B as well as hepatitis C. Hepatitis C we know can be cured, so we need everyone doing their part. We also know that mental health continues to ravage our communities. We know that many of the communities impacted have the challenge of being under-resourced in neighborhoods without early preventive services and early care, and the stresses and the health insurance that they have also takes a toll and makes it sometimes impossible to get the care that they need. But we must continue fighting. We know that infant mortality is also a health condition that's impacted our communities. In recent years, the rate has declined in terms of infant mortality. But in Central Harlem, the infant mortality rate is higher than the citywide rate. And finally, I just want to mention cancer and heart disease, because these are two leading causes of premature death in Central Harlem. And we know that...
I was...
So as you can see, every year we honor people who are making tremendous or who have made tremendous impact in our community. And we wanted to honor, or we are honoring, first of all, Ann Williams-Isom of Harlem Children's Zone, which has made an amazing impact in our community from the cradle or from the crib to college. I love that crib to college pipeline for our young people, and Jeffrey Canada, who has made an amazing impact, but also Ann Williams Isom, who has passed that onward and upward, and is going to be doing great things in this new administration. Also, Sheena Wright, many of you know her from the Abyssinian Development Corporation, which has done a lot of work in our community of Harlem and giving access to housing and jobs and so on and so forth, and her work with the United Way. And now she is going to be over strategic planning in the new administration. We also want to honor, we are going to be honoring we are honoring today, Chancellor David Banks, who 17 years at the Eagle Academy was a great supporter of not only this event and the legacy of Dr. King, but our children and their education. And we want to say thank you to him for his amazing contributions. And we have made new history in New York, because not only did we have Adam Clayton Powell Jr. be the first Black city council member to ever become a city council member in the city of New York, but we also have the first Black female speaker in Adrienne Adams. So congratulations to all of them. We will be sending them their awards. And we are going to now go to a letter, which I'm going to read, from Governor David Paterson, and he sent this letter a few days ago. So it says, "Dear Mari, I am moderating a roundtable on Dr. King's legacy at WABC Radio. And due to the fact that the program starts at noon, I would be unable to join our Martin Luther King celebration." I'm glad that he has ownership in this, because he was in it from the beginning, as was Gail, our former Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer, who is now a city council member. And I know she's gonna bring a lot of wisdom into the city council chamber. So I'm excited to see that. He said, "Congratulations to you and those of you who have taken the time to expound on the great memories of his contribution to freedom. Others who are antagonistic and anti-ethical to the dream of antithetical to the dream that Dr. King shared, where they classify him as a civil rights leader. While he was the best non-fighter for freedoms of Black people in Southern and Northern cities, his effect on our society in the 39 years that he was given is non-parallel. Dr. King was a hero in the Jewish community for his confrontation with the anti-Semitism. Dr. King was a hero in the Arab community for highlighting poverty in Palestine and other territories. The Reverend would not allow other ministers to remove another civil rights advocate. Bayard Rustin from the list of speakers at the march at Washington. Rustin was believed to be gay. When the ministers threatened to withdraw their support if he was allowed to participate, King replied, "Then I guess it will be a small march." While we regale in King's magnificent service, we should also pledge ourselves to King's dream that he attempted to fulfill at the time of his unfortunate passing. King was organizing a Poor People's March scheduled for Washington, D.C. in the fall of 1968. His goal was to enlighten poverty-stricken people who were white, that their quality of life was not much preferred to that of their Black counterparts. King believed the derision between the races nullified a coalition that could fight for better wages, affordable housing, and a more effective healthcare system. We still struggle with these problems. We need him now as much as we did then. His absence is always present. Governor David A. Paterson. Ooh, okay. That means a lot. And now that I see our former Manhattan Borough President, Gail Brewer, would you like to say something? Council Member Brewer, would you like to share a few words?
First of all, thank you very much. I can remember when you pulled this off at the school year after year. I don't know how you did it. You got the kids, you got the principal, you got District 5. Can you hear me? Okay, yep. So you got all of that to work, Mary Moss, and now you're doing it online. It's very impressive and tons of work. So I would say a couple of things. In the Los Angeles Times, I got an article, thanks to Reverend Fred Davey, whom I think you know from Riverside Church and the CCRB, and a professor from the University of Kansas wrote it. And I thought what was interesting about this article for today regarding Dr. King was he was a man not only talking about civil disobedience, the role of the Black community, civil rights, voter education, but he was so worldly. And I think that is what we should not forget. This particular article talks about all the thoughts and lectures and remarks and incredible insight. So I just want to mention that because we got Hungary, we got the China repression, we got the Hong Kong protesters, we got all the things going on in Myanmar and certainly across Africa and what's going on in Russia and all the challenges of trying to make sure that people who are running from oppression get support. So thank you, Dr. King, for reminding us how important the world is and how much we must think about it. So thank you very much for including me, and I love being part of whatever you put together, Mary Moss. It's a lot of work and very, very, very appreciated. Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Councilmember
Gail Brewer, thank you so much as well. Nick E. Smith from the Public Advocate's Office. I know you have to get to the next event, so we want you to come on in and share your words with the people.
No problem. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm actually headed a few blocks away to Nan, like I know many of you are. It's good to see you. I'm Nick Smith, First Deputy Public Advocate, the Office of Public Advocate Williams. We're happy once again to be here with all of you on this blessed MLK Day. And congratulations again to our deputy mayors and chancellor and Speaker Adams on their ascension and being recognized by this group. Like other parts of our city, our village of Harlem has changed. Homes are more expensive. The mass of people who made Harlem what it is unfortunately dwindling. But I know all of us are here to do what we can to make sure that we remain an internationally recognized Mecca that gave birth to the people mentioned earlier, Congressman Rangel, all of you, with so much talent and success. And I know many of us are going to pull out the Dr. King quotes, and I will do so as well. In his 1952 letter to his wife, the First Lady of the movement, Coretta Scott King, of course, he said to her, quote, "I am much more socialistic in my economic theory than capitalistic." He went on to say that capitalism has, quote, outlived its usefulness because it has brought a system that takes necessities from the masses and gives luxuries to the classes. As First Deputy Public Advocate, I oversee policy and legislation, and I won't bore you with all that means, but I will tell you that we are on the ball, both here in Harlem and across the city, when it comes to everything facing us. Athena Moore talked about health issues. We saw the unfortunate shooting of Crystal at that Burger King. We saw a devastating, just across the bridge, fire in Harlem. And I went over there and also tried to be of assistance. And I saw so many young people delivering clothes and toys and monies to our neighbors right across the bridge. So that gives me hope that there's a brighter future ahead. So on behalf of the Public Advocate and myself, thank you all for inviting our office to this event. Mari, thank you again for all of your work over all these years. It's great to see you all, and I'm headed over to Nan. So God bless you all, and God bless our people of Harlem. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mr. Smith. Thank you.
And send our greetings to Nan as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Family too. Okay. All right. I want to bring on Assemblymember Al Taylor because I think he was still here.
Yes, he's here.
I am here. Good afternoon, Sister Mari. Thank you all. Thank you so much and your team for making this happen. Am I coming in clear? I'm not sure.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clearly. Thank you.
Awesome. And I'm so happy to be in here with so many esteemed folks, and much respect and congratulations to all of those that are being honored. I also was in communication with Billy Council, William Council. I think he may still be on, but he said he had to run off to another one. One of the things that I'm reminded of, and everyone, I think my previous speaker just mentioned, is, you know, a quote from King, Dr. King. One of the things that he often spoke about, or a quote that he would use, it was originally Edmund Burke. And it's this: the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And when we look into Washington, D.C., and we look at what's happening and how they're trying to eradicate and strip the voting rights of so many across this globe in America, it says that good people are not doing anything. And Sister Marby, thank you again and your team for stepping up and having this, the seventh opportunity to salute Dr. King, but it's going to require boots on the ground and so much more that we're asked to do. And if we have to ask to do it, then maybe you're missing something in the first place. It's going to require people seeing what's needed and stepping into that space. I would also like to add the senseless death of what happened to the woman down at the train station on 42nd Street because of mental health. So just to piggyback in and mention what Billy Council, if he's not here, he's going to talk about fatherhood, re-engaging with the family, community involvement, and mental health. I'm going to mess this up, but JFK said something about not ask what your country can do for you, but what can you also do for your country? And again, concluding with what Dr. King would say is, in order for evil to triumph, it's for good people to do nothing. And my question is, don't talk about it, be about it. It's a statement.
Amen. 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 Assemblymember Taylor, thank you. I see. Now, have we gotten Congressman Rangel?
Yes, Mari, he's waiting patiently.
Okay, let's get him on now, please.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
We're almost there, I think. I think we're almost there. Are we?
Hi, we see you. Hello, welcome.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you.
It's been a technical struggle, but the Calvary came in with Lonnie Davis and he brought this magnificent iPhone, and we're able to do better with his iPhone than I've been able to do with my iPad. So here I am.
That's right, Nick. That's right, Nick.
Everybody clap it up for Congressman right now. We need to give them the honor, the love, everything we can give him right now.
Yes.
Are you waiting for me?
Yes, we are.
Well, I can't tell you how excited I am. It's almost as though God gave me a hard time this morning in getting through the technology in order to show how my deep appreciation to have so many people take time out of their schedule to recognize the sacrifices that Dr. King has made. Very few people like I have been in combat where human life means so little. And very few have been able to walk with Dr. Martin Luther King as I have, from Selma to Montgomery. But I say all of this because I can hardly think of anybody in combat or anybody in life that is willing to give up their life as John Lewis and Dr. King were, knowing that by doing so, they were going to be targets against those people who hate us so much. I had no idea until after I came out of the Army and as a high school dropout, but had the ability to recognize that there was a struggle in the South. In Harlem, I never met a white Southerner in my life, and I still don't think I've met any. But when I went South, I saw that it was not just prejudice, it was hatred. And we saw the same thing on November the 6th. That's not dislike, that is hatred. And I tell you, when people reach the point that they are ready to tear down the system, in other words, it's not just stopping the vote for us, it's not just getting the vote for them, it is electing the vote counter. We used to have on the block on Lenox Avenue, Don't worry about the score. Just make certain you get the person counting the score. And that's exactly where we are today. And what we have to do is to realize that even though we have Black leadership as vice president, the Congressional Black Caucus started with 13, we're over 50. You take a look, we have the lieutenant governor here, both houses, the assembly, both houses we have in the Senate, and mayor of the greatest city in the entire world. And we have these spots, but we are building up a hatred where these people don't care about law and order, and they're prepared to go to jail and do whatever is necessary. Dr. King has said so eloquently, what causes this type of hatred? It's against everything that you would like to believe that human beings believe in. But think about it when you see what happened to 6 million Jews in Germany. You would like to believe that all of these people were following Hitler. All America is not following Trump. But as was pointed out, it's the silence of those people who know what's going on, but still believe that it's better to have the alternative. You have to recognize that Germany was a Christian country. Catholics, the Pope knew what was going on. Roosevelt knew what was going on. But Hitler comes along and he says, are you going to turn this country over to Jews? A handful of rich Jews? Is this what you intend to do? And he went on to exterminate, to kill 6 million Jews. Now, do you think that the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, the Jewish community, do you hear their voices about what happened on November the 6th? Do you hear America screaming, saying, don't take away our Constitution? Do you hear them screaming about we need the right to vote? And so the odds may seem like they're ahead of us. But Dr. King reminds us that you can't give in, you can't give out, you can't give up. These odds are against us. They're even having some Black people believe that Jesus Christ was blonde and blue-eyed. They did this to the slaves. They have us not liking each other. They have us to believe that we're inferior. When you believe you're inferior, you bet your sweet life that you are. And so that is why we have to say we are somebody. We're going to continue to be somebody, and we're not going to give up this fight. And if you think things are rough for us, can you imagine in Africa, people coming ashore, snatching children away from their mothers, putting them in the base of a ship, knowing that a certain number are going to die, but they don't count because they're insured? Can you imagine what happened when they so-called freed the slaves and they allowed the Ku Klux Klan just to destroy, rape, and do whatever they want? These things are not just erased by civil rights legislation. And it's not Trump. It's the people that follow Trump that believe that they rather have no government than a government with us involved. And so doing this today makes each and every one of us have to know that no matter what promotion we get on the job, no matter how much pride we see with individuals that have accomplished, our struggle got a long way to go because they've taken hundreds of years to indoctrinate people that we are the enemy. And so we got to overcome that with programs and showing not only who we are, but it gives me an opportunity to say that just having the hopes and the visions of the people of Lenox Avenue took me from being a high school dropout to becoming a lawyer, an assistant U.S. attorney, a member of the assembly, a congressman, and to be able to say that I don't see how I did it, except there were people that surrounded me, around me, that never saw a kid from Lenox Avenue be able to finish college. All of us have a part of us that we can achieve more, no matter what we have done. So you can't give up in this struggle.
And coming together with programs like this make us walk away with pride. Let us go home or wherever we are and find someone that needs that shot in the arm and to tell them that Martin Luther King was ready to give up his life in order to move us 1 inch forward. How much are we able and willing to give up to make certain that our kids and our grandkids have a better life? Let's do it.
Oh, Congressman Rangel, thank you so much for that, those words of wisdom to the village of Harlem. Thank you. We really love and appreciate you. And we appreciate and honor your legacy. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you, and thank Lonnie for making all of this possible. And thanks for the patience of so many people.
Thank you, Lonnie, for making it happen.
Yes, thank you guys for being so dedicated to that. We appreciate you.
Okay, I want to hear from Assemblymember Dickens. Are you still there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Mari, and thank you to all that's assisted you in putting this program together.
And let me thank you, Inez, because if it wasn't for you, there's no Lonnie.
We all stand on each other's shoulders, though. That is the truth. There's, everyone that came before any of us, from one generation to another, it's their shoulders that we stand on. And so I stand on your shoulders, and I pray to God that I provide shoulders for the youth, my future, our future to stand on. So, thank you. But thank you, Mari, and congratulations, of course, to Ann and Sheena and David and Adrian. I wanted to be the first Black woman as the Speaker of the City Council, but it wasn't to be. But 10 years and 2 speakers later, we finally got that position for Adrian Adams. So I salute her. It's important that a Black woman, for the first time in the history of New York City, is the Speaker of the City Council. Now, everybody else has been the Speaker, but us. Now, we have an opportunity to practice and put into reality just some of the things that we've been talking about, complaining about, knowing that we need and necessary. Now, my colleague and former Assemblymember Taylor brought up about mental health. It's important. Mental health programs have been gutted for the last 10 years. When I was in the City Council, I served for 12 years, and back then they were gutting mental health. And now we're seeing the product of gutting the system, of not taking care of programs that were necessary and needed because we didn't recognize it 10 years ago. And now today we're talking about it. Well, see, we should have never gutted them in the first place. And that was an argument that Gail Brewer and I stood up together to fight, to try to stem the tide, to stop it. Now, I want to say one other thing, because we're talking about Martin Luther King, who was a great orator and who was a great leader. And I was blessed to be able to witness him at the March on Washington in 1963. I was a kid, but my father took buses because he was in the assembly at the time. And as we honor his legacy and everything that Dr. King stood for, we must also put into action, not merely to have a get together and say, we recognize it, but actually put in place that recognition that we're talking about. For instance, our future. We're here all together, and each one of us individually has the capacity and the authority to assist another child, another youth, whether it's in your family, whether it's your neighbor, whether it's somebody you do not know, to talk to them, show them love, not fear them, and let them know that you're embracing them and that there is another way other than the street way. But it's our responsibility to see to it that we do that. We're also faced with a lot of socioeconomic issues I'm not going to go into it because we already all know what that is about. We all suffer it, whether we're elected or whether we're going to our job every day or whether we have the job of staying home and caring for our families and our youth. But the truth of the matter is that we have to understand and do what Malcolm X and what Martin Luther King and Congressman Powell advocated so many decades ago. And that is the power that we have in our hand, the power that we have of the vote, the power that we have when we do get elected. Because it's a shame when you say in 2022, you're getting the first Black woman to be the speaker. I mean, that's in a city as large and as diverse as New York City. It's a shame when I take office in 2005 and the first Black woman to become part of leadership, number 6 in line to be mayor in 2005 in a city as large as New York City and as diverse. But that shows you the hate, the disregard, the malice that is innate in so many people. They don't even realize it. So we have a responsibility to everyone. I, as an elected, I have a responsibility to my future, my kids, my youth. I have a responsibility. I take care of my impact. I have a responsibility for families, for single mothers, for married families, for same-sex families. I don't care what. I have a responsibility to everybody in my community to serve them to the best of my ability. Because Dr. King said, it's hard to be a leader. And so sometimes you have to take action that is difficult, that people don't at the time understand why you did something. But it's my responsibility to try to do the best I can and tell me when I'm wrong, but also tell me when I'm doing something right. Because that's what King wanted. That's what Dr. King taught us. And we've got to follow in those footsteps so that all this growth that you see today, it came from that era and back. Now we're falling backwards. This country is falling backwards. This country is killing us all over. They never stopped killing us, but it's falling back again. And we have to try to stem the tide and figure out what do we do to stop what's going on in this city, this state, and this country. And it's our responsibility to bring our young, not to kill each other, not to take it out on each other, because what they're doing is taking out on one another the feelings they have about what's been put on them. And I'm not making up for them. I'm saying that that's exactly what it is. And we need to recognize it and try to get hold of our kids. We, the families, extended families, we need to do it before they get to the school and get to meet other people that maybe their families weren't fortunate enough to teach them. So I don't want to belabor the whole thing, but I do want you to please know that I stand with you. I thank you, Mary, for putting this together and for all that helped you in doing this each year. I thank all of those that you have honored in the past, because it's the past that we stand on. For those that you're honoring today, for they are the ones that are showing us the light and the path. And for those that you will honor in the future, because they are the ones that will guide us through the myriad of moss, and don't please take that word wrong, Mari, that we are in. So if you can't run, Dr. King said, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. Just continue moving forward and upward. God bless you. May 2022 bring us better health, because we have suffered severely with this COVID-19. May we have prosperity may we have equality, may we have understanding, may we have the ability to negotiate, because that's the key word, negotiate. I was able to bring more affordable housing to this community because I negotiated, because I stood up and said, I'm not going to take what you're offering, but this is what we need. I understood underwriting so that we could not lose maybe the development, but get more of what we needed, which meant a increased number of units of varied sizes with a lower AMI. And that's what I did with the Urban League. That's what I'm bringing 177 units of from 40 to 80% AMI that never before has been done for 40 years. And so, but I thank you. I thank all of you for the help that you've given me. I thank all of you, even if you disagreed with me. It's okay to disagree. It's to keep the dialogue open so that we can continue to do the best we can for this community. I was born and raised in Harlem. I never went anywhere other than when I went to Howard University. And I love this community so much. And I want so much for us to get out of having the cloud that constantly is put over us. God bless you and thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Assemblymember Inez Dickens. We are grateful for you. We're grateful for all the work that you have done over the years. And we really are grateful for you getting Congressman Rangel on the call. But literally,
is that what I did for this call?
Not
forget
just
the speech.
that, but
I got him on the call. Thanks,
no, because that makes you a part of us, like really making a difference in a real way, a real concrete way. And but no, as you were speaking, I just heard, as you were talking about, the things that are happening in our community, more love just came up in my, and that's what Dr. King's legacy was about, was love. He said, you can't fight hate with hate. And, and so we have to consistently fight hate with love. We got to stop the violence in our community, but it begins with each and every one of us. And I think that's what Dr. Bernice King's beloved community is about. Because what she's doing is she's saying we need to make it the beloved community. We need to love ourselves and each other. And I think that is monumentally important. But I love it when we hear from our elders and get wisdom from you, because we learn from what you have been through the struggles and through the triumphs. And we are still, I always take my notepad out and I take notes, and I said, now that's, these are the things that we have to continue to push forward. So we thank you so much for your legacy, and we love you. We really do. Okay.
No, thank you, because there is no legacy. It's the future. It's you. It's your three daughters.
Oh, thank you, Inez. Now you're gonna make me cry when you bring up three little Harlem girls. My little girls, but thank you so much. Thank you. I wanted to, because I know our program went way longer than we expected this time, but it's for a good reason. And when I think about the legacy of Mayor David Dinkins, I know that he's smiling on this right now because he's seeing his colleagues and those that he loves dearly, Inez Dickens, Congressman Rangel. He sees them, and I know he's like, I just feel him so much right now. And I'm just thinking that I just want you all to know how important this was to glean the knowledge and the wisdom and to respect those who have really paved the way of Harlem. And that is embodied by Congressman Rangel and Inez Dickens. I wanted to also say a few words from Dr. King, which were in our quotes, which was, there is nothing more dangerous than to build a society with a large segment of people in that society who feel that they have no stake in it, who feel they have nothing to lose. People who have a stake in their society protect that society, but when they don't, unconsciously want to destroy it. Dr. Martin Luther King. He also said, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We have to be about justice, but we also have to be about making sure that our voices are heard. And with that said, and I was going to mention the G word, but I'm going to ask, I think the current city council person is on, Kristen Richardson Jordan. Are you here?
Yes. Hi.
Okay. There she is. Okay.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for having me on, letting me speak. It was a really beautiful program. I was enjoying just listening to everyone and putting my little 2 cents in the chat. I want to say that we did an event, me and my office did an event called The Real MLK last Friday. And what we talked about was how Martin Luther King was about love and about inclusion, and also about justice and also about economic empowerment. And one of the things that we don't get to learn about King is all of his fighting around the space of economic justice. And as a Black socialist, this is something very dear to my heart. And something I wanted to highlight, and we did at that event. And so I want to say it here that, you know, King died fighting for the Poor People's Campaign, talking about an income guarantee. This is King. King said this, an income guarantee for all people. He talked about a jobs guarantee for all people. He talked about housing, equitable housing. He talked about the dilapidated conditions in the inner city. And especially towards the end of his life, he was making some very concrete comments around not just fighting legal segregation, but fighting de facto segregation that happens from economic oppression. And so I just want to bring that into this space as well. As we talk about the village of Harlem, our Harlem legacy is also about freedom fighting, justice, fighting for change and liberation, collective. I am 3rd generation Harlem. I've known this community since I was 3 months old and have deep roots here. And part of what I grew up learning and knowing is that freedom fighting that is part of Black liberation. And so I like to embrace a radical King because King was radical. As a Christian woman, I like to embrace a radical Jesus because Jesus is radical. And I don't run away from that word. I step into that word, and I step into it in a space of economic justice as well. And I hope that as much as we talk about and honor the past, that we can also embrace a spirit of Sankofa, which means looking at our past, present, and our future, and bringing legacies from the past into the future. And I'm really excited to not only be the first out Black woman to run and win a seat in the city council, but to also be the youngest ever in this seat at 34 years old, which I insist is a real age. But I think, you know, the beauty of King and his legacy is that he did always talk about bringing in the youth, bringing in the next generation, and passing the baton as well. And so I want to bring that into this space as well. Thank you for letting me speak. I'll put some info in the chat, but we have a lot going on in our new District 9 office, which is at 181 West 135th Street. It's right across from the YMCA. It is open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and 9 a.m. to 12 on Saturdays. And I'll go ahead and put my email and website in the chat as well. Please feel free to come on by and help out in any way. We're organizing different task forces around my Harlem platform. It's all connected and in the legacy of King. It's fighting for housing in Harlem, for labor rights, for cleaner streets. I mean, sanitation is an environmental justice issue. It has to do with white supremacy and racism as well. So please check us out. And thank you for the space to speak.
Thank you very much as well. And I know you'll be hearing from everybody from the community. So I know you got to get yourself ready and organized for everything that's coming, because as you said, Dr. King was working on economic development issues. And, you know, he said, we didn't want just tokenism. We don't want just, you know, a little bit here and a little bit there. We don't want just some of our rights. We want, or a little bit of our rights, or a little more of our rights. We want all of our rights. So we need all of our rights. And we must definitely get move forward in that spirit of unity, community, love, and strategic planning, which leads to our next thing. Monique, can you please
Mary, let me just interrupt for just a minute. I know that Pastor Ramos had brought up about a city council woman, Diana Ayala. Well, her mother just died. So I wanted to just I wanted to just share that, please. And also, yesterday we lost, for years, there were only 2 Black county committee chairs. That was Denny Farrell here in New York County, and in Westchester County was a man named Lafayette. For years, the only 2, and Lafayette died yesterday. He fell and hit his head and broke his neck. So I just wanted to share that.
Your hair was
I just want, you know, I'm sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to share that because Pastor Ramos had brought up about Diana Ayala.
No, that's very important. Thank you very much. Can we take a moment of silence, please, for this information that we just received?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with with all of us. And Monique,
yes,
can you?
Yes. Thank you, Assemblywoman. Her mom was in critical condition while Crystal was murdered, and she's been asking for prayers, I mean, day and night. So, Auntie, thank you for that. I didn't hear that just yet, but thank you. Please keep the family lifted up. Please keep the family lifted up.
In fact, Apostle Ramos, would you just go ahead and lead us in a prayer in that regard, please?
Eternal and gracious Father, we come before you right now, knowing once again that you are still in control. You know all things, and you do all things perfect. And even now that we are mourning and sadness has hit us, we still look to you. We still look to the hills from which cometh our help. Help us to stay strong and to continue in this freedom fighting, as all have mentioned. Help us to stay strong and continue for the justices that not only we need, but we deserve. Help us to move and continue in the legacy and stand on the shoulders that those have come before us. Please keep this family in your fold and in your bosom. They need you now more than ever. We know that you will do so. Let them know that they can reach out to us and we will be with them. Because when they
come on, start now.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Hold on, Apostle Ramos. Please mute your mics. We are in prayer right now. Please mute your mic.
When they are mourning, we are mourning. And when they are in joy, we are in joy with them. Hold them up, Lord. Lift them up as only you can. We give you all honor, glory, and praise. And we thank you once again. It is in your mighty and matchless name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Apostle Ramos. And we will be continuing to lift up Diana Ayala's family. That I can only, I mean, this is, it's hard to go through this kind of thing. And I know we've all been dealing with different things, especially during COVID, but we want to continue to uplift one another and especially our leaders who are dealing with these kind of tragedies. Monique, can you take us to State of Harlem discussion? We're nearing the end of our program, which has never, ever run this long before, but it's for good reason. It's all God. It's all good because it's all God.
Which video is that, Mari? Which
State of Harlem. The next to last one.
The 5th?
I believe so. I think so. We're not seeing it. So.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I got it. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, here we go.
Okay, that's just the intro to what we're getting ready to discuss. This is going into the future. This is a community conversation known as the State of Harlem. And the vision of it is to pick up where the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King left off, which was, he was about economic development, but he was about everything else, equality. And as we go into 2022 with a new administration, with new leadership, with so many other new leaders of elected leaders of our communities, we want to make sure or ensure that the voice of the people are heard, and not just heard, but we want to see how these discussions are going to lead to concrete legislation, because Dr. King was also all about not just the sacred right of voting, but he was also about making sure that executive orders and legislation were put in place so that we can ensure our constitutional rights as a people and our rights in general, and as far as pushing ourselves to the next level in our economic development and our communities, our community well-being. So with that said, the topics that we're going to be discussing are men and relationships. Billy Council, I don't know if he's still here, but he's going to be leading that discussion. Women issues, we're going to be talking with Danielle Williams about that. Economic development, we have Beatrice Sibley's, who's going to be discussing that. Health, you already heard from Athena Moore earlier. We're going to be sharing more about that. We're talking about education. We're talking about violence and safety. I'm going to ask Apostle Ramos to cover that, as well as spirituality. Civic engagement is going to be coming from William Smith, and justice and equity work. So it's going to be coming from Nina Saxton. So first I'm going to see, I don't know if Billy, I think Billy had to go somewhere. So I don't see him on here. Oh, I see him there, but I don't know if he's there. So what we're going to do is, Billy, are you there? I'm just going to check. Okay. We're going to go a little out of order with this. So let me go with William Smith on civic engagement. William Smith.
Good afternoon, everyone, on this MLK Day. I'm actually here at King Towers for their celebration to commemorate Dr. King. Today, we should be reminded of our commitment to voting. As everyone's hearing all the time about voting rights. Voting rights is a key issue. Dr. King was instrumental with securing the passage of voting rights. It's important now that we make sure we show our commitment to that movement, and that's our vote. We have to vote. So the only thing is that a lot of our citizens they don't feel as if there's an incentive for them to vote. So we have to do a better job in terms of educating one another, ourselves, both for all of our leaders here on the call, make sure we build our capacity, but also building the capacity of our communities around understanding the different levels of government and how their voice can be instrumental in impacting our process. So I'm committed to making sure that the Democratic Party of Manhattan as well as the state party, start having a commitment around political education from that perspective. But also we need to work together to make sure that our legislatures, both in the local level and the state level, pass bills that will empower our education system to Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. It's important we get the legislatures to pass legislation that's going to get civics incorporated into the curriculum, so that way it's already in the books that a way for our citizens to be empowered is through the education, through civics. So please, everyone, make that a topic of discussion in your engagement in the community. Make it a part of your advocacy, because if we don't build up our capacity to vote and don't have our share of the votes, we can't be able to get the piece of legislation that we need, as we see with all of the issues with voting, passing the authorization of voting rights now.
Excellent. Thank you, William. And I want to add that these discussions are going to be filmed discussions throughout the community, but we want the real conversations from the people of the community, and we're going to roll them out during Black History Month. So at the end of Black History Month, you will see the finished results of that, and they're going with that is going to be a number of let's say what the people want, what the people need, and how to address it. And last year we had a Black History event. Of course, Mayor Eric Adams attended that. And out of that discussion, because we were talking about including Black history in the schools, out of that discussion, $10 million was allocated to the city council budget for Black history implementation in the schools. So we want to ensure, this is beautiful. I love that.
I love it. Yes, great. I love the kids' work. Beautiful.
Yes, this is exactly what we're going to, so we're looking to bring the actual concrete results to our community. And the accountability piece is the State of Harlem discussion. Is Beatrice Sibley's? I don't know if she's still on here.
Right here, dear.
She's here. She's here.
Okay, Queen, there you are. Okay, great. Oh, take it on.
Well, I just wanted to thank you, Mari, and the team for including me on the call. Got a little teary-eyed hearing the discussion, of everything that's come before us. And I was, touched by what Congressman Rangel said, Assemblyman Dickens and everyone. But I also, first time to hear Miss Jordan on the phone talk about Sankofa, which really, you explained it so beautifully about the past, the present, and the future. And one of the things that I focus on, as Mary knows, I used to be on the Economic Development Committee of Community Board 10, is playing my part in thinking about the future, particularly as it relates to economic development. I feel that that was my gift and my purpose. And, I pray every day that I am following in that purpose. So the quote from MLK that I would just bring to everyone real quick is, it's a spin on a religious phrase. What does it profit a man to be able to eat at an integrated lunch counter if he doesn't earn enough to buy a hamburger and a cup of coffee? And I think that's the challenge that we face now in Harlem. With the work we've done in Harlem Park to Park, Harlem Business Alliance, etc. We've now got, we didn't used to have 10 restaurants in Harlem. Now we have 50 plus restaurants in Harlem. But most of the people that live here can't afford to eat in those restaurants, right? It's a fact of life, right? And so as Dr. King said, we're living in poverty in a network of plenty. And so I just wanted to have the point today that we need to think about not just where the economy is today, but where the economy is going, right? The old fight was about integrating a lunch counter. Now that lunch counter is moving to cyberspace, right? And so if we keep fighting the last war, we want 40 acres and a mule, okay, we missed that fight. Okay, we want housing, we want access to the GI Bill. Now the housing is all bought up. We missed that fight. We want to be in Silicon Valley. That's all missed out, right? Now we're having a fundamental transfer in the American economy to a digital e-commerce platform. And if we miss that opportunity, our community will be left in the dark ages. So that is the conversation that I'm in. I've got a little project that we call Village Harlem to get our companies at the forefront of the digital commerce age. And I'd love to talk to everyone on this call about how we could build that opportunity together. And thank you so much, Mari, for including me in this conversation.
No, I'm grateful for you, Beatrice. We've been talking over the years, and like I've worked, working with NACOA on just getting businesses in our community to thrive. Like, we've really got to work together now, because as you already know, I don't even need to continue the conversation, but I'm just grateful that you're bringing your wisdom, your expertise, your knowledge, and the work is going to take to get our community propelled to the future and realizing Dr. King's dream as well. So thank you for being a part of it. I know that we spoke about, is Danielle Williams here still? There she is, I see her.
Okay.
There you are.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mari, for inviting me to be a part of this. I just wanted to start out with a quote from the late Bell Hooks. So the moment we choose to love, we begin to move against domination, against oppression. The moment we choose to love, we begin to move towards freedom, to act in ways that liberate ourselves and others. And that is from the book Outlaw Cultures. And so, hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Williams-Cham. I'm a community educator with Connect NYC. And at Connect NYC, we conduct trainings, dialogues in New York City towards the goal of ending intimate partner violence, what some people may know as domestic violence. And so I'm delighted to facilitate the discussion on what women need in Harlem. And this year we will be focusing on the topic of intimate partner violence. So we're going to be discussing what is currently happening, what are the patterns that we're seeing. We're also going to lift up the phenomenal work that many leaders in Harlem are doing to address it, as well as looking at some of the policies and structures that we may call on the powers that be to change, as well as looking inside, looking at the power of we. What are some of the things that we can transform and change so that we can have safe and healthy families and communities? And, intimate partner violence, it impacts men and women, it impacts same gender loving people, it impacts everyone. And so we are going to uncover that, talk about it, and how we can keep women and children and our families safe in Harlem.
Powerful, because women they are the originators of the community. Without our women, we don't have community. That's where life comes through. Life comes through women. And I'm grateful that you said we're going to be uplifting the work, because I think of Stephanie McGraw from WARM, who was boots on the ground day in and day out during the pandemic. And there were so many things that were happening during the pandemic. When I think about women and children who were lost during that time from domestic violence. So I'm grateful that you are leading that discussion. I'm very interested in hearing what the men also are going to say, because I think the healing is really going to come between the men, the trauma that men are facing, as well as what our women are dealing with and having to deal with their own trauma, as well as the other trauma, the rest of it. So thank you so much for being that voice and that inspiration to this discussion. And I think Dr. Stacey J. Ramos, I would love for you to talk about, the violence and safety in our community, as well as spirituality.
I sent you a chat, Mari, so just check the chat real quick. Again, more grace upon each and every one of you. I thank Mari and Monique and just the entire team for this amazing 7th annual in honor of our beloved Dr. King and all that he has done. I'm so grateful to be with all of these leaders and stakeholders and people of color that just are mobile and moving forward and upward, like Auntie Inez said, and we've just got to keep doing that. I just heard from Sister Danielle and what she was actually speaking about. I will be working closely with her on that. She also works with me in a lot of the gun violence and the domestic violence situations right here in our village. And so protocols with shooting responses and prayer vigils and all those things. So we are definitely moving forward and staying connected. And that's just what we want to do. But in speaking about this, Mari, you can answer me back with the question that I set for you in the chat, if that's okay. Violence and safety, I've just been placed. I've heard my dear sister Beatrice say that, you know, her giftings as she sat in CB10. I believe that my giftings is just being placed as a watchman on the wall in this community, in this village of Harlem, but also beyond, and that's the 5 boroughs and even further. And I'm charged to really seek the peace in the city, right? And so for me, Jeremiah 29:7 talks about, and seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away as captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof shall you have peace. So basically, it's a blessing that if we get this, if we seek this peace and not stopping, which all of the leaders and all of the servants that everyone has talked about thus far is continuously seeking. Councilwoman Christian said so many powerful things, and just the radicalness of Christ. I mean, absolutely. And also with Dr. King. And, you know, I was hoping that somebody mentioned the Poor People's Campaign, because Dr. King took a turn in the Poor People's Campaign after he did all of the great work, right, sis? Right, Sister Christian? He did all of that great work, and he took a turn and decided to really fight and really go forward. He was just such a blessing. And he was just so involved, and he was just really, really anointed. He was anointed to do the work. And that's why he didn't give up. And that's why so many people have mentioned before that he was committed. He was committed. And I believe even our congressman said that he fought and he knew, him and others, that he would be given his life. And that just reminds me of Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, my Messiah, my Lord, my Savior. He fought and he knew what he was doing so that we can have an opportunity to live. And that's what Dr. King did. But Dr. King did it in a way that was so eloquent and loving. We've got to understand that in this violence and in this safety, we've got to start loving from the roots. You know, choice is preferential, but the love has got to be there, and we've got to love radically. And if we start loving radically, we will absolutely understand and know that these differences that we're having and the root cause comes from a lot of taught hate, comes from a lot of taught situations and built situations. As the congressman was saying, not everybody was going for a certain president. Not everybody was doing a certain thing. And so we've got to come from the root. And that is a radical thing, because it's been ripped away from us, as Auntie Inez was saying. It's been torn and pulled. And we've been meant, as the congressman said, to believe that we're nothing. But quite frankly, we are something. We are somebody. And we have a lot to give and a lot to offer. One of the things I wanted to discuss in being this watchman is I am bridging the gap between this clergy, interfaith, community, orgs, NYPD, and I won't stop, local, state, government agencies, harnessing the awareness, harnessing the power of awareness, and valuing the power of communities' natural resources. What are our natural resources? We've got to get to these natural resources and implement them and use them, and do that in a very way where everybody jumps right on board. We have to demonstrate the power of unity in this community to stop this violence, and also a faith-based organizing, which will be us equipping communities of faith, interfaith, organizations, community members to transform their villages through this boots on the ground work and this public safety situation. We've got to be able to do that and understand how that works so that we're able to get involved. Let your pledge be today in MLK, Martin Luther King Jr., on this day, that it be to get and stay involved in violence prevention. We should not just be showing up after the situation. We should have already been deeply and rooted involved, covering every corner, north, south, east, and west. I literally insert myself And I come with the love and the honor and respect, but I insert myself because that's what it's going to take. And that's why Mari continues to ask, Apostle, what can you do? What can we do? Where can we turn? Who can we talk to? How can we get involved with this matter? So I'm very grateful, and let your pledge be local precincts. Let your pledge be community council meetings. We look for everybody at these meetings. We want you to be at these meetings. We want you to speak up at your concerns, what's going on in your village from corner to corner, street to street, block to block, city council meetings, hearings, mayoral, like we've got to be really involved so that this can stop and we can understand what it takes. And it's going to take unity in a very different way. We have started, my last statement will be, we have started the Harlem Clergy United and Beyond, a subcommittee for CB10, which we're hoping to get through all the community boards as subcommittees or task force so that we can be there and address hunger issues, violence, crime, guns on the street, gang violence. We're doing major things with credible messengers in this gang situation. So I really want you all to know that that's what we're here to do. We are boots on this ground, and we do know how to strategically work in what needs to be worked. I'm going to ask Mari, you said you didn't get it, but I hope I'm not imposing, but I want to ask my dear brother, Reverend Al, to come on and really talk just a bit about spirituality, if that's okay.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Why not? That's fine.
Thank you all for hearing me.
Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Apostle, and thank you all here on this space. Again, I want to thank you, Mari, for bringing us into this space. And as I listened over this period of time, I can't help but remember, you know, my life as a little boy here in Harlem. Being able to be a merchant, standing on the street diagonally across from the Apollo at 14 years of age before I got my working papers, selling wardrobe with some of the other people that were on the streets. One of the merchants allowed me to be there. I think about walking down, I think Bob's Record Wagon outside, you're hearing the music blaring, whatever the holiday was. I'm walking past the fish and chip stores, just call them fish and chip joints. And being able to walk from community to community and don't even think about what's going on around. You know, there was a love, and there is always been in Harlem, and it's such a rich culture. So when I walk, I see the eyes of that, and I'm looking through those to see, not necessarily will that return exactly like that, but the idea of being community, loving on community. And I can't tell you how many, let's just call them whoopings, I've received from my neighbors and afraid to tell my mother that one had whipped me, because then she would add to that, or my grandmother, who was a super, and now they call them superintendents, but she would use the ropes for the dumbwaiter and ring the bell, and people would put their garbage in there. And I thought it was so cool to play on a coal pile, right? Because the guys had just delivered that truck full of black coal. Where are you going with this, preacher? I'm glad you asked. It's about love. The word says that love covers a multitude of sin. And we have moved away. When I say we, I'm talking about as a community, as a people, and whatever faith you believe in, I say to you, faith without works is dead. Don't tell me who you worship. Don't give me peace and blessings and you're ready to cut and cuss. I don't need that. I need some people that want to roll up their sleeves. And the word of God says, faith without works is dead. So I always see, if you get a text from me, it says, don't talk about it, be about it. What is it that you're doing? And I heard my sister, was it Dion, that talked about the violence. And a lot of this, I believe, starts with a self-hatred. So I can't respect you if I don't respect myself, if I haven't learned to love myself, if not been loved at home. So we've got to love on our community, and it's not sexy, it's not comfortable, and it can be so much pain. But imagine now, and I heard the apostles say, joining these various, whether it's CB board, 10, 9, and the community boards and the police council. Yes. But start with being a good neighbor first. Speak to the people in your building. Speak to the people next door to you. Oh, you know, they got a bad temper. I am convinced of one thing. And my good friend who passed away just a couple of days ago, Bishop Yoda Monroe, he says, God changes people and people change things.
Yes.
So if we will allow God to change us, then I don't mind if you are rejecting me. I'm not going to meet you where you met me. The first woman said, when they go low, we go higher. And it's impossible to not allow God. If we allow God to be God, then everything else will work. So I'm not going to be offended if you don't call my name. I'm not going to hate on you if you don't put me on the flyer. I'm not going to feel some kind of way if I never got to speak. And I think we have to forget about who we are and understand what's at stake here. Our brown and black brothers and sisters, these little kids. I love the presentation that they did with Congressman Rangel. And I thought, I was looking, I said, well, I see me in there, because I remember as a 6th grader, him standing outside of my school, and he said, take this home to your mother and make sure she votes. I'm talking about a Black community that was proud. Yes, we had heroin, but not everybody was a heroin addict. And even the addicts knew to stand up and be straight when an elder or someone came by, and they would be so respectful.
He never lied.
We've lost some things, and I'm not trying to glamorize what the 70s were. It was hard times, but we've been used to making it through hard times. We serve a God that's able to do exceedingly abundantly more than we can ever imagine or hope for, and all we have to do is trust him. And we can't give it lip service. Dr. King could not have been committed to the cause if he did not have a creator that moved the rate for him, that helped him to walk through the dangers and the fear that he may have ran across, and he knew he was going to be rejected. Someone mentioned in that space, I don't know who it was, and someone said, well, you know, that person over there is of such and such, and we don't want them in the group. And he said, well, it's going to be a single march because I'm not going to go with you. We've got to love beyond measure, and everyone is welcome in it. And it says this, I know my plans are not to harm you, but to prosper you. And in Nehemiah, when the cities were torn apart, he said to the people, look, this is a slave. He was a cupbearer. And it said this, do you see the condition of our city? Let us rebuild this together. I say to us, Harlem, let us rebuild this together. What are the mentoring programs that are we doing? What are we doing besides finding spaces to roll out our whatevers and say, what are we doing? And that may mean I may not be feeling you, Apostle, today. You know, we got some beef about something. But when it comes down to it, that black boy, that black brown girl will not die on my watch. No one will spend time in jail. I've gone into the precincts and into court and been able to bring people out just by our presence there. If you don't care, then move out the way and let the people that care do something. Sister Mari, thank you for what you're doing here. I'm not coming at anybody. I'm saying this is a village. And if we're going to live in a village, then we have to do the things that are necessary. At 16, I found myself at 100 Center Street in front of Judge Bruce Wright. He gave me an opportunity. So when we see someone, in my opinion, this is Al speaking off script, like someone like our new district attorney, Alvin Bragg, we got to support him. He's not saying let everybody go. He's saying we need to make sure we weed out those that need to be there versus those that don't. And in here, it says, and I think you may have mentioned it earlier, Apostle. I was like, wow, she's killing it right there. It says, seek justice and do mercy. Amen. That's our responsibility, not to get 5 letters behind our name, not for people to shout out for you, get the high place, but we got to serve when it's cold outside. We got to serve when you get that call, because servitude is not always convenient, but it's one thing that you will do. And I'm telling you, call me, I'll show up. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just saying, let's stop talking about it and be about it. The book of Acts, the book of James, faith without works is dead. God bless you. And the choir will sing and we'll have an offering.
Oh my God. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I got to say one thing. Brad, was that Cut Him Loose, Bruce?
You know it was. You know it was.
I'm just saying.
No, it wasn't Cut Him Loose, Bruce. It was Turn Him Loose, Bruce. Now, I didn't know who he was. Right. I want you to understand, I didn't know who he was. I was a black young man, and I'm going to talk about disobedience. I had just told my mother that very night, I am 16. I will not be in the house at 9 o'clock. I'm going downstairs. And I was standing on my stoop. In the stoop where I was standing on, some of the baddest guys came by and said, we got beef. And they looked at me and said, are you down? And you know, I was a follower then. I was like, oh, wow, they invited me? Yes, I'm going. You know where I ended up? Center Street.
My God. Listen to mama.
Yup, listen to mama. Reverend, I want to just say, first of all, what I was feeling in my spirit as you were speaking was to God be the glory. It's not about any one of us. It's not about one particular person. It's to God's glory that we do the things that we do, but we have to move in the direction of, like you said, putting action into what we do and making sure that it comes to fruition. And that is the purpose of this State of Harlem discussion and what we're going to be rolling out in Black History Month, an actual actionable, like, get it done plan. So I think we covered most of the topics, but I want to see if is Shadina here? Because we're ready to close on out and let everybody enjoy the King Day. I still see William Council on here, but I don't think he's available to speak.
Hi, I'm still here. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Is it okay to start, Mari?
Oh,
sure.
Yes, Shadina, go, please.
Hello, everyone. Happy Martin Luther King Day. I thank you so much for having me, and I will happily be ending with a spoken word piece of mine dedicated to you beautiful people. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we love you.
Nine in church, 4 fresh off the playground, 3 on the cell floor, too many uncounted for, and now 1 in front of the convenience store. I wrapped arms with a Muslim and cried the Black Holocaust away. Listen to the secret prayers that dripped off mothers' lips as they sent their sons out as prey. I mean to play. Lord, there is black on black, blue on black, me attacked because of my shade. All I ask is that you bring your children home safe. It's in your name we pray, Ashe, Ashe. I locked eyes with a brown-skinned girl on a train, wondering if, like me, she was riding this F train to get away. In hopes that this train might turn into a plane. Could real freedom be just 2 stops away? Oh no, American Airlines has delays. I pledge allegiance to a flag in a country that has never been united. And all this land for which it stands was built off the blood of slave hands. Indian soil on Christopher Columbus land, and rightfully so, in a country where killing Black men isn't against the law. Young brothers being harassed, but they don't know what for. Make America great again, but excludes our flaws. Liberty and justice for all. All we want is our pride and dignity, because that's just what they took. They say Blacks don't read, yet they hide us out of textbooks. Martin Luther King had painted a dream. We just need to color it. I'll paint it with my voice and prove I'm not illiterate. And if Malcolm X wanted us to get our fists bloody, then that's just what we'll do. Because some things are worth fighting for, like being able to sit by you. We salute the red, white, and blue, knowing the storm isn't far behind. Lord, when they scream, all lives matter, I pray they keep my Black life in mind. Lord, give us the tools for freedom, not the ashes of survival. Can anyone give us some spiritual guidance, but hold off on white Jesus and that Bible? Can you tell me how far we've come without reminding me my president was Black? Can I send your people out to war and welcome them home with crack? Can I threaten your mother and tell her we'll take her family off of government assistance if we find out your father ever came back? You must be goddamn crazy to ever want to live Black. But I don't have a choice. A saint born into sin is the harsh reality of having my Black skin. All we want is our pride and dignity, because that's just what they took. There is no such thing as Black History Month, because every day is ours. I was born Black and I'm still Black to this hour. And throughout all the struggles we've been through, I am still an American figure, and I'm the genius, because everything I said was real, and not once did I have to use the word nigger. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow, powerful words. Thank you.
Very powerful, Shadina. Thank you so much. Monique, let's thank everyone. First of all, we need to thank God because of all the technical difficulties that we had, but we were still able to pull through on honoring Dr. King in a Harlem special kind of way. And I want to say thank you to every one of our, thank you, Miss Monique McGee, for all the troubleshooting. But, you know, we've been together from the very beginning, inception of this vision, and it's been able to come to fruition in ways that we probably never thought we would see as parents and administrators of the school system. Thank you to, oh man, help me, Miss Monique. Thank you to...
We had Apostle, we had Altiela.
Of course, Apostle Stacey J. Ramos. Apostle Ramos, without you, I don't think we would have been able to do this at all. Thank you to you and Miss MIT Bumpers. Thank you, MIT Bumpers. Thank you. Let's keep going. Keep helping me, Monique, because you know,
Congressman Charlie Rangel.
Well, I was gonna get, Congressman Rangel, we love you, your legacy, you paved the way. You know, sometimes you remind me of my family, some of my family members, but I am so grateful. We're grateful for you, and Harlem is grateful for you. And I know Mayor David Dinkins, how much he greatly loved and appreciated you. That's Harlem love to the fullest and the deepest extent. Thank you to Assembly Member Inez Dickens. You know, thank you for being a constant. Who said that, by the way? Did they leave already? I just want to know who offered that. Okay.